Okay, good morning everyone. I am running a few minutes late because my computer decided it didn't want to locate the camera. But we're here now, and I do also want to say I live near a naval base, and there are a lot of jets flying this morning. So you might hear a little background noise, and I apologize for that. But we call that the sound of freedom here in Hampton Roads, Virginia, and it's just part of our way of life. So what I wanted to talk about today is two types of self-disclosure. And if you ask a dozen therapists about their views on self-disclosure, you're likely to get different answers. For most of us, our training and treatment modality inform whether or not you think it's a good thing or a bad thing. But when you think about it, there are actually two types of self-disclosure. So let's break that down for a minute. And I just want to say that the participating in the small group clinical consultations that are a part of the Collab Oasis community has really allowed me to see this distinction, and I never really was aware of it before, but it does get handled in a different way because one is personal, that you are choosing to share for the benefit of the client, and the other is not. So voluntary self-disclosure occurs when a therapist shares something personal with a client. Those who do this hopefully assess the benefits for the client in sharing the information, and also recognize that there may be a shift in the relationship because of it, and have thought that through and anticipate that and hope that the shift would be for the better and not the worse. Most therapists that I know who've been in practice for a while will tell you that their views have changed over time, working with lots of different people, lots of different situations, lots of different clinical settings. Their views have shifted, and that's okay. Keeping the therapeutic value in mind seems to be the common denominator with those who do occasionally self-disclose, from my experience. So what I'm really wanting to talk about today, because most of us understand about voluntary self-disclosure, like it, don't like it, wherever you fall, you understand what it is. Involuntary disclosure is what I want to talk about today. So this type occurs when there is some type of visual or auditory clue to the client that the client picks up on. For example, your growing belly might be a sign that you're pregnant or have something going on with your body, right? That's something, if you're face-to-face with clients, they're going to see, and my experience is most of them will comment on it and ask questions. Other examples might include moving into a new office or changing practices. They might want to know more specific details of why you personally are choosing this, what your decision making is. Traveling while working. If you are, I spent a week in another city while my dad was in a hospital, and I was in a hotel room, and it was very apparent that I wasn't in my office. So I had to decide ahead of time how did I want to handle that, because they were going to notice. So whatever the background change is, it's likely your clients are going to want to know what's what. A change in hairstyle or other outward feature like clothing is absolutely something I've had lots of clients comment on over the years. And not necessarily something I wanted to discuss, but they ask and I've learned to anticipate it. Going out on medical leave absolutely is something that you have to discuss, but maybe more personal than you want. You might just want to give them the dates, how long you'll be gone, what the plan is while you're gone, and that type of thing. But their natural curiosity in their care for you is going to most likely prompt them to ask more specific questions. And they're gonna want to know in a caring way, but it may not be information that you want to share or is appropriate to share with the population that you're working with. And another one that I came up with was being in the media. So maybe you've been quoted in the media and it's about a topic that they think is great, or maybe they view as controversial, or it could be in a way that's not flattering to you. And so that definitely is going to get brought up by clients. So what do you do about the involuntary types of self-disclosure that sometimes occur in our work? Well, first of all, I think it's important to think ahead about these types of things so you can determine how you want to respond. I'm a big proponent of, with clients that have had a change in their situation, their life, going to events where they're going to be interacting with people who know about it or don't know about it, asking questions, and we will come up with a couple of phrases. One phrase to let somebody know, like, yes, I'm willing to talk to you about this, but not right now, or thank you for asking, and shut the conversation down. and we talk through different scenarios so they can plan ahead for how they want to handle that. And that way they're not so caught off guard, and they tend to be a little more relaxed going into those situations. So you may choose to share some or all of the details, or you may choose not to. And it might be that you share with some clients and not others. And that's a good thing, because that means you're looking at it from a clinical perspective. The amounts of details and the types of details that you're sharing, you're looking at the specific client and the benefit or harm it will do to them. Early in my career, I received from clients. I had very long curly hair like it is now, and I cut it really short. And I had no idea people were going to feel so strongly about that. And so after the first couple sessions, I was really prepared to acknowledge the compliment or manage the negative opinion and then move on with the session. Wardrobe choices have also fallen in, I'm tongue-tied this morning. Wardrobe choices have also fallen into that same category. I came in with I thought it was kind of a groovy 70s styles dress with, like big sleeves. And a client came in and was like, what carpet did that dress get cut from? So again, anything that's going to be out of the usual, which that really wasn't for me, but it's most likely going to have some commentary by some of your clients. One of the benefits of telehealth is that there's less of that will occur, and I think they're also a little less focused on our appearance in telehealth, which is a benefit in my opinion. But on the upside, no matter how you handle the situation, the fact that your clients are talking to you, that are asking questions or sharing criticisms, even sharing criticisms, it might be an indicator that you've developed trust with the client. And there can be lots of therapeutic value in how you respond to those comments. So just keep that in mind. It's not all about you. It is about the therapeutic relationship, and how you respond is definitely going to impact that relationship, either positively or negatively or even neutrally. You also, when you're thinking about these things ahead of time, I would strongly encourage you to discuss this with colleagues. We've discussed these numbers of times in the clinical small groups that I facilitate, with maternity leaves, with traveling and having a change of scenery. There's been a number of scenarios where this has been discussed by the group. And each time I found that the particular therapist in their population, they had a specific way they wanted to go, and got some input from colleagues and sort of refined that. But it's not like one size fits all by any means. So when you run it by your colleagues, you might find that they have helpful input that can either help you feel confident that, yes, this is what I want to do, or they may help you decide, maybe I want to handle this a different way. Maybe I wasn't thinking through all the different scenarios here. It's hard to do this work in a vacuum, really, really hard to do this work in a vacuum. So if you don't have colleagues to bounce things off of, you should consider ways to meet other therapists and or join a clinical consultation group. After a few encounters, you should assess how it's going. If you're getting unanticipated responses, then you might rethink your position, reach out to colleagues again, talk through what's happening, how you feel about it, the impact on the clients, and decide if you want to change your plan. And that's okay. That's one of the great things that colleagues are there for, and I believe that we sometimes hesitate to reach out to colleagues for things like that. And that's where the consultation group comes into play, because for example, in my groups, they meet twice a month. So there's time for them to come and bring those questions and not feel like, oh, well, if I call so-and-so, she might be, in a session or grabbing her lunch, and I don't want to interrupt her. It doesn't seem like that big of a deal. But these are really helpful conversations to have. And so now with a consultation group, you have a forum to be doing those things. So we need to just keep in mind that we are in a field that heavily relies on our relationship with our clients. That can mean our exchanges are more personal than we anticipate or desire. By having an awareness of these types of possibilities, you give yourself the advantage of planning ahead. You give yourself the advantage of considering your needs as well as those of your clients. And hopefully you won't feel shell-shocked in a session by something you didn't see coming. And the longer you do this work, I think the easier it is to anticipate these types of things. humans are humans, and the way they show up is unexpected at times, and I've learned over the years to be able to kind of roll with it. But I do know the first couple times something like that happened, I mean, in my mind, I'm going like, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, what do I do? And I realized that, take a deep breath, you can get through this, but I realized that, oh, I should have really seen that coming, right? I should have anticipated this. And so that's something, if you are a newer clinician, that is something that will definitely get easier over time, and the input of your colleagues will be especially useful. We just had a situation recently where one of the small group members, had a question. And what we do is, if you're in between group meeting times and you have a question, you can send an email out to your whole group. And what's really interesting with that is not only do you have that wraparound support and that connection with your colleagues, but it's so interesting to see everyone hits reply all and to see the different perspectives. And some of that is informed by treatment modality or therapeutic orientation. Some of it is by experiences therapists have had. And so an email that went out yesterday, I think we got 4 or 5 different responses. And they were all really great responses and had really great input. And now the therapist who was asking the question is able to put all that together, look at it, apply it to their own situation, the question that they're asking, and figure out what is going to be the best way for them to move forward. And that, I have to say, is one of my favorite parts about clinical consultation small groups, when you have a closed group where you have clinicians coming together, the same clinicians coming together, because you really get that chance to know and trust your colleagues. You can come and know that you can ask a question that may seem silly and no one is going to shame you or give you a hard time. Sometimes people will say, I don't even have a question, can I just talk? And we say, yes, let's just process the case, just start talking and we'll go with you. And some really amazing things can come out of that as well. So I hope you found this helpful. I would love it if you're watching this as a replay. Hashtag replay in the comments for me. I would also love it if you've had situations where you either planned ahead or were taken by surprise with involuntary self-disclosure, how you handled that, how you felt about it, and what advice you might have for somebody who might experience that in the future. Okay, everyone, I hope you have a really great day. Goodbye.